I saw a report earlier today that came out saying that there are players in the New England Patriots organization who are concerned about their current offensive staff. With Josh McDaniels, the former offensive coordinator, taking the head coaching job with the Las Vegas Raiders, there still is a vacancy at their OC position, and we don't really know. And the rumored candidates haven't really been any to give you a lot of promise. It's been Joe Judge and Matt Patricia. They're somewhat going to have large roles in what the offense does this year. But honestly, and I don't mean to sound ignorant when I say this, but I don't really think it's going to matter that much who's calling the plays. And before you guys get on me down in the comment section, allow me to explain. I think that this offense really is going to come down to figuring out what Mack Jones likes. I think that Mack Jones is going to be heavily involved in what New England does offensively this year, because they're probably going to sit him down. They're going to say, okay, Mack Jones, what are you most comfortable with? What routes, what scheme do you feel gives you the best chance to succeed? And what plays do you like? What concepts do you not like? He's probably going to tell them the plays he really is in love with and the ones that he would prefer New England throw in the trash. So they end up sitting at the table, they talk it out, and then going into the 2022 season, they start using more plays and concepts that Mack Jones likes to actually run. So with this whole entire offensive coordinator situation, honestly, I think that the success of the Patriots offense this year is going to be heavily dependent on Mack Jones and how far along he comes in his development. Because if you have an elite quarterback, a great quarterback makes the guy calling the plays look like a mastermind, because he could turn a bad play call into a good play call. However, an average quarterback is only as good as the guy calling the plays behind the play sheet. So if Mack Jones ends up taking that next leap and becomes a elite quarterback, a top 10, even a top 12 QB this year, he's going to elevate whoever's calling the plays. However, if Mack Jones doesn't develop the way that Patriots fans hope, then the offensive coordinator position probably is going to cause a lot of concern. However, I trust Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick is the GOAT for a reason. However, it's been a while since we've seen somebody else calling the plays other than Josh McDaniels. So I understand where the concern lies, but you have to trust Bill Belichick with these things. Also, the offense, I think, has a pretty good amount of talent. Although wide receiver probably is the weakest link that many people are going to harp on, it's not overly bad. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't even consider this to be the worst wide receiving core in the league. You have Devontae Parker, who you acquired in a trade with your division foe, the Miami Dolphins. The thing with Devontae Parker is, can he stay healthy? When he's on the field, he's productive. However, he's not on the field all that often, which is why Miami was willing to ship him off to the Patriots inside their division. You also have Kendrick Bourne, who had 55 receptions for 800 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. He had a pretty nice year. You got Jacoby Myers, who had 800 receiving yards, 83 receptions. The dude led the team in targets also with 126. He's a monster. And then you have rookie out of Baylor, Tyquan Thornton, who I really like a lot. He's going to be their elite speed or / deep threat. The Patriots always love to have a wide receiver who has great speed. Then tight end, you have Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. This is still one of the best tight end duos that we have in the league. Then at running back, Damian Harris, Rahamdre Stevenson, one of the better 1-2 punches in the NFL. Harris had 202 attempts last year for 929 rushing yards, 4.6 yards per carry, and 15 touchdowns. And yes, I am looking at the number right. He had 15 touchdowns last season. I didn't even know he had 15 touchdowns last season. And remember, I had this man on my fantasy squad. 15 touchdowns? I couldn't remember him scoring 15 touchdowns. Maybe I have this wrong. I'm looking at the stats right now. It says 15 touchdowns. Unbelievable. Rahamdre Stevenson, He's afraid also. 133 attempts last year for 606 rushing yards, 4.6 yards per carry. He had 5 touchdowns. You have rookie running back Pierre Strong. You have veteran James White, who is the pass catching back. And you also have J.J. Taylor, who's more of that change of pace back as well. So for New England, offensively, I think you have enough talent to be really good on the offensive side of the football. And if Mack Jones ends up taking that leap to being a top 10 quarterback this year, he's going to elevate this whole entire offense. The wide receivers are going to be better. The offensive line is already really good. This is one of the best offensive lines in the league. You have Isaiah Wynn at left tackle, left guard Michael Arnu, who was one of the best offensive guards in the NFL last season, according to Pro Football Focus. I know some of you guys don't really care that much about PFF, but it is worth noting he was phenomenal last year. You have rookie guard Cole Strange, who you drafted in the first round. Many people view it as a reach. To me personally, when it comes to drafting an offensive lineman, it's really difficult when it comes to evaluation because many teams have different ways that they evaluate players and where they rank players on their draft board. So if somebody reaches for an offensive guard, I don't think that is all that bad because offensive guards getting taken late in the first round is pretty common, and it's also a pretty safe position more times than not. It's not a similar situation to when the Las Vegas Raiders a couple years back reached for Alex Leatherwood. That was a huge reach. You have somebody who struggled at offensive tackle, and he struggled last season. So it's not that bad of a reach. And then I just got done watching the Brett Coleman video about Cole Strange. It has me even more excited about Cole Strange. And I think that Bill Belichick is really excited about what he can do because watching Brett Coleman's video, Cole Strange is going to be a really big part in terms of what the Patriots are going to be able to execute in the run game on offense, and also how they're going to tailor this offense around the strengths of Mack Jones. So he's going to be a really big part of that. Then you have right tackle Trent Brown, who also is coming off a really productive year as well. So this is an offense that has a little bit more talent than what a lot of people are giving it credit for. And for Mack Jones, with him, there were some games where he took unnecessary sacks, just holding on to the ball too long. Going into year 2, the game's going to slow down for him. He's going to know a lot more. He's going to be better when it comes to reading coverages, getting the ball out faster. He's going to have better pocket awareness. This offensive line, don't be surprised if it ends up being a top 3, top 5 unit at the end of the 2022 NFL season. And offensively, if Mack Jones ends up reaching his peak and hitting that ceiling, I think that this potentially could be a top 10, top 11 offense because they're still, no matter how good Mack Jones is, they're still going to pound the rock a good amount of times with the 2 freight trains that they have at the running back position. If Damian Harris can take care of the football and not have any fumbling issues, he could be in store for an all-pro season, in my opinion, because the dude is a tank. Every time he totes the rock, he's running guys over. He's causing a lot of wreckage, a lot of carnage. Same thing with Ramondre Stevenson. As a matter of fact, these are my 2 favorite running backs to watch in the league when it comes to running back duos because they just cause a lot of damage and a lot of wreckage. They're old school throwback backs, and I love old school throwback backs. I like a running back that's going to put his foot in the dirt and he's going to plow through you. I don't have nothing wrong with the new finesse running backs, but I'm just a fan of old school smash mouth football. It's fun to me. A lot of people aren't fans of old school smash mouth football, but I am. I love seeing a lot of wreckage. I love running back that's able to get down to the linebackers and plow through you for extra yardage. But hey, that's just me. But overall, I personally am more optimistic about the Patriots offense than most people, simply for the fact that I trust Bill Belichick. And too many people judge teams based off their roster talent. You also have to take coaching into effect because last season, there were many people who didn't expect the Patriots to make it to the postseason. I had them in the playoffs simply for the fact that they had Bill Belichick. Same thing when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers with Mike Tomlin. When you have a good coach, he's going to be able to put their team or your favorite team in the best situations to succeed. He's going to be able to make adjustments. If somebody has to end up being benched and replaced, That's going to happen. If changes have to be made schematically during the season, they're going to happen. That's why Bill Belichick is one of, if not the greatest head coach of all time in football history. No matter if it's college football, NFL, he's one of the best head coaches ever to grace this game. You have to trust him. You have to believe in Bill Belichick. You have to believe in his philosophy. And for the players who don't believe in Bill Belichick, I mean, what's really the point of you being a New England Patriot? Because the Patriots always put a lot of emphasis on doing things the Patriots way. They put a lot of emphasis on doing your job. So for the players that's concerned, they shouldn't be. Because if they do their job, everything should work out. That's what Bill Belichick stresses the most. And I think the reason why Bill Belichick hasn't named his OC is simply for the fact that it's not really that important to him. Obviously, because if it was, he probably would have already had it named. So I'm pretty sure that he has a strategy set in place for how he's going to manage this offensive coordinator situation. And if Joe Judge or Matt Patricia ends up being the OC, or somebody else out of nowhere comes up and becomes the OC, I have faith in Bill Belichick's judgment. You got to trust Bill Belichick. It may be hard for a lot of you Patriots fans out there because a lot of people hate uncertainty. Nobody really likes surprises. And I understand that. I don't love surprises unless it's my birthday and you're giving me a gift. Everybody wants to know what you're walking into. However, with the Patriots, Bill Belichick is keeping this a big secret for a reason. Joe Judge in his press conference, when they were asking him about what his role was, he didn't really give them a definitive answer. The media was a little upset about it, but they're playing this really close. They're keeping this in tight. I think that Bill Belichick has something up his sleeve, and maybe he doesn't want to name his offensive coordinator just yet because he doesn't want to give defensive coordinators the advantage of figuring out, okay, this is who they have calling the plays. Let me go back, watch a little bit of film about what his tendencies are so we can get a better game plan of what he likes to do offensively. He kind of wants to keep it unknown, and I think it's really exciting. If you're a Patriots fan, you don't know how this offense is going to look. You don't know if you're going to have a similar offensive scheme to last year or if you're just going to come out in something completely different. So you got to trust in Bill Belichick. He's the greatest coach of all time for a reason. You got to trust his judgment.